Joshua Valum entered a relationship with 17-year-old trans teenager Mercedes Williamson.
I miss how she flips her hair. I miss the crooked smile. There's crooked teeth, but that beautiful smile.
It's not my fault. She got in my vehicle after I told her I wanted to have sex.
To this day, he won't admit it. To this day, he will not admit it. And you know, this all goes to his gang because, you know, a part of their bylaws is you cannot be homosexual. You cannot, period. And what, you know, for Josh, you know, he basically chose my gang is more important, the Latin Kings are more important to me than this relationship with a person that I happen to love. When you dream, what do you have dreams about?
Chasing Mercedes through the woods.
Born September 10th, 1997, Mercedes Williamson was a transgender teenager from Gulf Shore, Alabama. Mercedes transitioned at the age of 14. Mercedes wanted to be a cosmetologist. She worked at Ralph Lauren and Victoria's Secret. She was noted as being a happy teenager, despite her parents rejecting her. At some point in her life, she became estranged from her parents and dropped out of high school. That's when she moved from the Gulf Shore to a town called Theodore. That's when she began dating Joshua Brandon Valum. At the time, he was 27 years old. They would date for 8 months. People close to Mercedes and Joshua said that their relationship was sexual. Joshua would later deny these claims. Mercedes' family would confirm that Joshua knew that Mercedes was transgender. In fact, it was Joshua holding the secret back. Joshua was a member of the Latin Kings. According to the Latin Kings, what Joshua was doing was against their rules.
If there is anything in this world that I could take back, it would be that I would give Mercedes her life back. I would actually give my life in exchange for her life, because the guilt that I'm living with is so horrible, it's not worth it. I know that I'm secure in my relationship with God, but I don't know that Mercedes was secure. So I have to live with the fact that I killed Mercedes and she's in hell.
On May 30th, 2015, Mercedes' remains were found. She had been murdered by Josh. Mercedes is unable to tell her story because she did not survive. However, Josh has his own narrative of what happened.
We'll let you do all the talking, alright?
I got out of prison last year. During that summer, I met this person. We talked, you know, liked the person a lot. I pulled over, rolled down the window. I was like, what are you doing this evening? She said, nothing. He said, nothing. And I was like, well, now you got plans, get in. And I made my intentions clear. You know, I was horny and I wanted some sex. Only place that I could think to go to, you know, have sex was my dad's house.
Okay.
So we get there and I drive to the back of the field. We go to kissing, you know. Excuse me a minute.
Take your time.
We were kissing. I was groping. And I felt something that wasn't supposed to be there. And I panicked. All that was going through my head at the time was, you know, what and I know this makes it look bad on me because I tried to cover it up. It is what it is. I can change what I did. Mm-hmm. If I could, oh God. Yeah. But I went home, I got a shower. I cleaned my car. I put the taser in that hammer and the bags, put all that in my car. I didn't want to leave nothing at Dad's house. I didn't want anybody involved in what I did.
After he committed the crime, he was obviously, had blood on him, and he went to his home, and his brother testified at the hearing that he saw him in blood and asked him what in the world happened to you, and his response was it was either him or me. And so that's the first statement out of Josh Fallon's mouth about what happened and why he committed the crime. But when you look at his actions after the crime, he went back and picked up a flip-flop and brought it back to the body. He covers the body up with woods and limbs and leaves. He takes everything linking him to the killing and puts it in a bag and ditches it in the Pascagoula River. He takes the clothes that he wore during the killing and drives to the Biloxi Beach, where typically he would have his gang meetings and gang beach bash parties, and burns the clothes there. And that's odd to me. I don't know why he would do that. Why couldn't he burn the clothes right there on his dad's property? So I don't know what he was thinking. I guess he would have to answer those questions.
It's not my fault. She got in my vehicle after I told her I wanted to have sex.
In his statement, I think he gave partial truths and partial, lies, and he was trying to weave some of the truth into his lies to cover him and get away with murder.
I mean, we weren't having sex, but we were making out, holding hands. I let her sit in my lap. I was getting oral sex from her. Like, I would rub up her leg, and she's like, no, that's off limits right now. I mean, I thought she was a virgin, and she was holding out.
He picks her up on Dolphin Island. I thought he indicated that he saw her walking down the road, picks her up, and they decide they're going to have sex, so they drive 70-something miles to George County. Something struck me as odd during that ride. He told the police that she looked over, about the time they crossed the Alabama line into Mississippi, that she looked over at him and said, "Am I being set up?" So that tells me that at some point Mercedes felt something was not quite right.
I mean, she was a sweet girl. She was fun to be around. I mean, she was always bashful and shy if we went out, but when it was just like us hanging out at her place, she was fun to be around. She was very active.
I don't know what he felt at the time that he did this killing. I think he would have to answer that question on that day. And I know he indicates that he was making out with her and felt something, I think his words were, that shouldn't be there when he talked to the police. And that's what drove him to commit murder.
Is there anything that you may want to reveal about maybe Latin King?
No.
Anything?
No. That had nothing to do with this.
Yeah,
it shouldn't affect them whatsoever.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not a traitor.
Just a confessed murderer.
Oh, he confessed easily to the murder itself. And for someone who's murdered somebody, he was very calm, but yet he was very evasive, especially with the gang activity.
To this day, he won't admit it. To this day, he will not admit it. And this all goes to his gang because, a part of their bylaws is you cannot be homosexual. You cannot, period. And for Josh, he basically chose my gang is more important, the Latin Kings are more important to me than this relationship with a person that I happen to love.
During Josh's initial interrogation, he made this telling prediction.
I mean, with this being a transsexual, this life would be labeled as a hate crime.
He was right. In addition to his life sentence in Mississippi, Josh Valum receives an additional 49 years in federal prison after being convicted under the Matthew Shepard James Byrd Jr. Hate Crime Prevention Act, making him the first person ever prosecuted for a specifically transphobic attack.